Alright fellas, welcome back to Fan of Firearms, and on the workbench today I got a couple of AR-15s from my collection. This bottom one is one I've been working on recently. This is my Block 2-ish clone that I've been working on. I've been having a lot of fun putting it together, but I started thinking, of all the things that I've added to this rifle, are they all necessary? I've had friends in the past, they go on Temu, buy a whole bunch of junk, throw it on their gun. It's way too much. It doesn't work half the time. So what things are essential to buy to enhance your shooting capabilities and what things aren't? So I've compiled a list. Here are my 7 picks for the things you should buy to add to your rifle when you go and purchase one. So the first 2 are essential. The last 5 are not so much. Depends on what you're looking to do and what capabilities you want that rifle to have. So let's start off with number 1. Number 1 is a decent set of iron sights. A lot of people will say it, me included, shooting with irons is sort of like a lost art form nowadays with all the different optic options, but it's the cheapest sighting system you can get for your rifle to get you to the range to be able to shoot. Without sights, quite frankly, you can't shoot. You can, but you're just gonna make a whole bunch of noise and not hit anything. So, some options to consider are, this is probably your cheapest variety of iron sights you can find. These are MBUS polymer flip-up sights. These can be had for under $100 and they're decent quality. Some people will talk down on these MBUS polymers because they're polymer and they're like, oh, they break. I've broken them before, but for what civilians are using them for, LARPing in their mom's basement and going to the range, don't break the bank on your irons if you're looking to not do any sort of cool operator type stuff with your gun, right? So these are a decent option. If you want to step up from them, you can get the MBUS metal flip-up sights, and these are decent quality. They've worked well for me. I haven't broken them or anything like that, and people do swear by these ones. There's also tons of different options out there. You can get fixed front and rears like this Daniel Defense fixed 1.5, I believe is what they're calling it, the A1.5. But with that being said, let's move on to number 2. And the second thing you should be looking to purchase with your new AR-15 is a bunch of magazines and a bunch of ammo. You don't have to break the bank. This is PMC Bronze 223 55 grain. It shoots well enough. I never had any issues with it. I would stay away from Winchester White Box. I hear they have a bit of a reputation. Sometimes maybe not, depending on which ones you get. Now, as for magazines, you can't go wrong with the good old PMag. These things are proven, tested, they work well. I've never had an issue. There are people who actually use these to do actual combat cool stuff with them, and they swear by them as well. Then there's also different types of aluminum and metal magazines. This one is by Wyndham Weaponry. These work well as well. And then there's also Lancer mags. So these have the metal reinforced feed lips, but a polymer body. These also work decently well. But don't break the bank, just go with PMags. Readily available and pretty cheap too. All right, let's move on to number 3. All right, and for number 3, we're moving on from things that are absolutely essential to get you out to the range to things that are going to enhance your capabilities, but if you're just using this as a range toy, you might not need right away. And that is a decent sling. Now, there's a bunch of different options you can choose from. I really like these Blue Force Gear Quick Adjust 2-point slings. I find that they're comfortable. They work really well. They stay whichever orientation you have them in, at least in my experience. Keep in mind though, you will need QD cups for these, in whether or not you have actually sling swivels at all on your gun, or if you have QD points like in most modern stocks like Magpul and stuff like that, you will need a couple of these QD mounts for that. But these are 15, 20 bucks. The sling, I believe I paid $50 for this one. Don't quote me on that though. But there's a bunch of different options when it comes to slings. If you wanted to get as poverty as you possibly can, you can go with just a basic canteen strap, and this will work to just keep the rifle slung to you. Obviously not very quick adjust, but it is what it is. It works well, and it does fit the aesthetic of the Mogadishu musket. Next, you can go with something like this Magpul Rifleman sling. This is decently, I wouldn't call it quick adjust, but you could adjust this, and I just have this on my A2 clone because I feel like it fits the aesthetic. So there's a couple of sling options. Ultimately, it's up to you. Find something that works, find something that's comfortable. Let's move on to number 4. All right, number 4 is going to be some sort of weapon mounted flashlight. This is a Streamlight ProTac HLX. It's incredibly bright, I believe over 1,000 lumens, and it comes with a pressure pad. This is the Streamlight Rail Mount 1. I believe it's a bit older. It's not as powerful, but it does work, right? And if you're looking for something for home defense, this would be plenty good. Having a weapon light is important if you're looking to use this for something other than something at the range. If you're looking for any type of self-defense capability for your rifle, you definitely want to be able to identify targets in the dark. So be smart, get yourself a weapon-mounted flashlight. These ones are great because they actually come with the pressure pad. They're not the best quality pressure pad, but they do work. And the whole total package, you can find these for about $120 to $150 depending on where you go to look for them, right? These can be had for a little bit cheaper than that, and they do come with the pressure pad. If you wanted to go with a different brand, I hear Surefire is very good, like top of the line flashlight, but $125 for the full package. If you get a Surefire, it's going to be $300 and some for just the light, and that's not including some way to mount it and, you know, the pressure pad and the tail switch. So yeah, just something to keep in mind, but you can totally do that. They are very Gucci, and I wish I could afford one because they're very nice. Let's move on to number 5. Number 5 is where we start getting into optics choices, and this is completely dependent on what you're looking to do with your particular rifle. If you want quick target acquisition at close range, something like this Vortex Strike Fire 2. There's a lot of strikes and fires and stuff when it comes to these gun brands. So you can go with something like that red dot for relatively cheap. If you wanted to go a bit more bougie, you can get an EOTech holographic sight. This is the EXPS3. Very nice. They do have a delamination issue, I've heard. Haven't had any issue with mine, but famous last words. If you also are looking for some sort of magnification, you can go with a prism optic like this Trijicon ACOG here. This is a 4-power scope. Or you can go with an LPVO. I don't have an LPVO to show you guys, but I'm pretty sure if you're watching a video on AR-15s, you know what LPVOs are, right? They enhance our magnification. They can go from 1x all the way up to sometimes 10. These all enhance the capabilities of your rifle to either hit accurately out the distance or shoot faster and be able to pick up targets faster. But all in all, they're not necessary to shoot the rifle because you do have your irons, like I said. So all up to you, depending on what capabilities you want your rifle to have. Let's move on to number 6. All right, number 6 is where we really start getting into the weeds on things that you don't need right away, that the base version of will work just fine, train on it, learn it, and get good with it. And then when you move up to the next level of these things, you'll be even better. And that is trigger upgrade. So this Mogadishu musket I have, this Car 15 clone, has a standard mil-spec trigger, and I'll show you guys how high the trigger pull is with this. As you can see, I don't know if that's going to show up well, just under 7-pound pull. Let's try it one more time. And again, just under 7 pounds. This is the Firearms SLT1 trigger. Let's check out the weight. These, of course, were all safety checks prior to this filming. As you can see, we're under 6 pounds. And again, under 6 pounds. Now I have one other trigger I want to show you guys. So let me sub out the Block 2 for another Block 2. Oh, by the way, this took me a while because I had to do all the NFA paperwork behind it, but you'll see this in a future video. It's pretty sweet. Now, obviously, this has also been safety checked, right? Chamber's empty. Let's check out the trigger pull weight on this Geisley trigger that I have in this Mark 18 build. And that is just over 4 pounds. Just over 4 pounds. So as you can see, you can go from a 7-pound trigger to a 4-pound trigger or a 5-pound trigger. That's a pretty significant jump, especially because you're considering things also as less travel time, shorter reset, things like that. They will make you more accurate, but the mil-spec triggers work just as well, especially when you're first learning. So this is something that you can look to upgrade in the future, but it's not an immediate requirement. Let's move on to the final thing. All right, fellas, the number 7 accessory you should be looking to purchase for your AR-15. This is the bottom of the barrel, the very last thing you should be looking into, and unfortunately, not everyone's going to have access to it. And that is suppressors. An obligatory abolish the NFA. Suppressors should just be available to everyone. It's not like an assassin's gun, I swear. This thing is still loud. You're still gonna need to wear hearing protection, but you're not gonna blow your eardrums out when you shoot it. Suppressors are your last stop if you can manage to purchase them. Obviously you have to go through the NFA, do the tax stamp, wait the wait time. The wait times are down, but still abolish the NFA. Suppressors are cool, but not required at all. This is the very last thing I would recommend you on your journey. Now you're gonna notice I didn't mention any kind of foregrips or furniture options. Honestly, it's all the same to me. It's all personal preference. Whichever you prefer, you can go with. But those are the accessories that I would recommend you look into when you get your first AR-15. If you guys like this video, be sure to comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys next time.